In a matter of 2 minutes, it's gone. Everything is gone. How I survived, I have no idea.
Severe weather can hit in an instant.
The air was sucking me up, and I was holding the door real tight. I said, this is the end for me.
The Texas sky's turning dark, but the First Alert Weather Team is here to keep you safe.
CBS News Texas has issued a weather alert.
No matter what Mother Nature brings our way, join us for the next 30 minutes as we prepare you for the upcoming spring storm season and equip you with the knowledge to keep you safe.
Hello and welcome into our severe weather special event, First Alert Severe Weather Survival Guide. I'm First Alert Chief Meteorologist Scott Paget. Over the next 30 minutes, myself and the rest of the First Alert Meteorology team will walk you through different weather scenarios that you might face across North Texas. That includes everything from tornadoes to flash flooding, hail, or even power outages. Our job here at CBS News Texas is to keep you safe. That's why we have fully embraced the First Alert weather brand. We know that when we see a disruptive pattern in the forecast, you want to know about it as soon as possible, so you can trust us to issue a First Alert weather day anytime the weather can impact your life. That could be anything from severe weather with the potential for tornadoes to some dense fog in the morning when you might need to leave early to get the kids to school or make it to work on time. It's our way of letting you know ahead of time so you can plan your day accordingly. So let's dive right in talking about tornadoes. Did you know the state of Texas averages 137 tornadoes a year? That's the highest number of any state. And the highest average of tornadoes form in the month of May, followed by April and then March. Now let's bring in First Alert meteorologist Brittany Rainey. Brittany, you've got to look at how these tornadoes form.
That's exactly right. You know, here in Texas, we're in the middle of what we refer to as Tornado Alley. And we call it that because the conditions here are oftentimes perfect for those tornadoes to develop. So you do need several ingredients for this. A lot of the time you're going to hear us talking about a dry line. That's where we have some very dry air back to the west and then a lot of moisture moving up from the east and southeast. But we also get these fronts, a division of air masses, if you will, where we have a cold air out to the west and warm air out to the east. And when these fronts start to move in, they provide lift for these thunderstorms to develop. Now, when you get tornadoes, you need what we call vertical wind shear. And we have two types of wind shear. First, that's directional wind shear, where we're starting to see the direction of the winds rotating as you go up in the atmosphere. This provides rotation within those thunderstorms, and we start to see those supercells developing. But we also get what's called speed shear. And this happens in the lower levels of the atmosphere, where at the surface winds are lighter, but the higher you go up, those upper level winds are a bit stronger. So you get this horizontal rotating column of air. But with those updrafts in the thunderstorm, they're pulling that horizontal rotating column of air a little bit more vertically up into the actual thunderstorm. Then we start to see a wall cloud developing, and as that reaches closer and closer to the surface, that's when we either start to see a funnel cloud, or if it actually touches the ground, then we have a tornado that's developed. But a lot of times you're going to hear us talk about something called the cap. That can actually impact whether or not we see tornado formation. Hello everyone and welcome to the Texas Rangers Pro Shop. Now you might be thinking, this is a severe weather special. Why is she at the Pro Shop? It's because I'm talking about caps. Yeah, not this one, as much as I'd like to talk about this cap. It's a beautiful one, but we're actually talking about the weather cap. You know, when you hear us at the First Alert Weather Team issuing weather alerts, a lot of times it's for severe storms with hail, damaging winds, and tornadoes possible. You probably are hearing us talking about that cap as well. So to break it down a little bit more, we are going to use these gorgeous baseball caps to help you understand and visualize what we're talking about with it. So think of the green and the brown as ground level. That's where we're at. Higher up in the atmosphere, that's where we're starting to see those thunderstorms brewing. Those are the blue caps. But even higher than that, we have this warm, stable layer indicated by the red caps, and that's where we have that warm atmospheric cap. And these act as a lid, keeping these thunderstorms from developing even more, getting stronger to reach severe limits. So when we issue those First Alert weather days, it's because the ingredients are there for severe storms to develop. But the big question is, will the cap hold? Or are those thunderstorms going to break through, and are we going to get severe storms? So the next time we issue a First Alert weather day, the storms don't pan out, blame these caps, not the meteorologist. So now when you hear Scott and I and the rest of the team talking about the cap, just remember we're not talking about those baseball caps.
Great for you to head to the Rangers Pro Shop. My cap is off to you for that explainer there, Brittany. It's great information. Such a creative way to explain how the cap can keep these storms from forming. Now we're going to toss it over to First Alert meteorologist Jeff Ray at the Weather Center. Jeff, we know the warning systems on these storms have advanced in recent years, but tornadoes can still form at a moment's notice.
Yeah, that's absolutely right, Scott. That's just another reason that we are committed to issuing these First Alert weather days ahead of the storms. So you can go ahead and prepare before the storm hits and have your plan in place to act within seconds. Now, the National Weather Service will issue a tornado watch when they feel the potential for a tornado is there. However, they will only issue a tornado warning once rotation is spotted on radar or confirmed on the ground by a trained storm spotter. This means you may have only minutes to seek shelter once the warning is issued. First Alert meteorologist McKenna King joins us now, the newest member of our team here at CBS News Texas, and we really are glad to have you here with us, McKenna. Now, we want to keep our viewers safe, of course, and I think you have some great information for us on what to do when a tornado warning is issued.
Yeah, that's right. So I'm happy to be here first and foremost, but we do want to make sure you're staying in that safest spot when that warning comes up in your area. So let's walk you exactly through what you can do if you are sheltering during a tornado. When you are at home, where's the best spot to be? Go to an interior room. That's a room away from windows. Don't forget your pets. Grab your cell phones or your tablets, an external charger if you've got one. That's because you can watch the latest weather updates from CBS News Texas on the CBS News app. Then you will know when the threat is gone and you can safely come out of that shelter. But what if you live in an apartment on a higher floor, or maybe you are at work in a downtown high-rise building? Maybe you live in a high-rise condo that took a direct hit from an F3 rated tornado back in the year 2000. Amazingly, there were only the 2 deaths associated with that tornado. The overall North Texas tornado outbreak that happened that day consisted of 10 confirmed tornadoes. The storm caused significant damage to many buildings, including the 9-story Cash America building and the 35-story Bank One Tower, which lost 80% of its 3,000 windows. For a time, the windows of the Bank One Tower were covered with plywood, which could be seen for miles around the city. 5 years later, the building took on new life, opening its doors once again as apartments and condominiums. The tornado tore a path right down West 7th Street. It then headed into downtown. One of the buildings that took the brunt of the damage was the Bank One Tower. It's one of the tallest buildings in downtown Fort Worth, and now it's a popular living destination known as the Tower.
So I was trying to get back, and I couldn't get any weather because the AM radio stations were 100% static. I've never seen anything like it.
Meet Brian Linzer. He watched that tornado in 2000 tear this building apart as he drove towards downtown. Give it 4 or 5 years and you decide, hey, I want to live in this building that used to look like a birdhouse.
This was vacant. They decommissioned this building and it was going to be imploded. And then a developer bought it and added some city money to it and turned it into condos.
Why would you want to live in a building that was almost destroyed by a tornado?
Mostly I'm thinking if an F3 tornado hit directly on my house, I think I wouldn't have survived. And so people here did survive, so it was better for us than living in a house. And so, I don't know, I think it was tested. I mean, it held up.
Brian wanted to live here for a few reasons. One of those being his photography. He captures amazing shots of lightning, storms, and sunsets from the comfort of his high-rise balcony.
I just kind of fell into it, mostly living up high, just because I see so much out the windows, and just pretty sunsets or snow events or that kind of thing.
High-rise living has its perks. Just look at the view. But you need to be prepared. We're here on the 28th floor of the tower. So what do you do if a tornado is headed your way? First, the safest thing to do is get to a lower floor as quickly as possible. Find an interior hallway or room with no windows or exterior walls. If getting to the ground floor is not an option, find a small room like this bathroom that is an interior room and take shelter there.
You know, I always tell my wife, if I'm on the balcony and a tornado blows me over, be sure and recover my camera because I'm going to try and get about 5 shots on the way down. You know, click, 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 click.
Talk about dedication to your craft. Okay, so we've now talked about how to take shelter in homes, apartments, high-rises, offices, or condos. But what if you're driving and you see a tornado? Well, the National Weather Service says the best advice is to drive to the closest shelter. That might be a gas station or a restaurant, maybe even a business. Just walk in and alert them that you saw a tornado or a tornado warning and you need to take cover. Now, Texas has a lot of open land. So what if you're in an area with no buildings around? The National Weather Service says to get out of your car and find a low-lying ditch or ravine to lie in. Being inside your vehicle during a tornado is not safe. Scott, back to you.
Great information, McKenna. We also want to remind you, don't stop under an underpass or try to seek shelter there because, Brittany, as we know, the air will compress underneath there and those winds will get even stronger.
That's exactly. It acts as a funnel, and then you're really in a very dangerous situation.
Right. And speaking of funnels, we want to talk now about some ingredients. The final thing to discuss about tornadoes, the difference between a watch and a warning.
And we know that Jeff already went through the technical points of the difference between a watch and a warning, but this may break it down a little bit easier for you to understand. So when we say that we have a tornado watch, it means the ingredients are there, like you're making cookies. You have all the ingredients available for tornadoes to form.
That's right. So in a sense, you kind of have like a cookie watch that's happening. You know, you're watching mom and dad or whoever making the cookies for you, getting all the ingredients ready. You say, ooh, it's about to happen for us. So that's a watch. Then when it switches over to a warning, that means all the ingredients have mixed together for a tornado to possibly form. You want to seek shelter immediately. So just like when you get all of these lovely ingredients together, then you get these delicious looking cookies. That's what we call a cookie warning.
And that's when you want to seek shelter right away and then take your devices with you so that you know exactly when it's safe to come out as well.
I'm not sure about you guys, but for me, when mom was making the cookies and they went onto that tray, that was my cookie warning, and I would go by and I'd swipe one or two and test them out just a little bit more for us. And so that's what you get, the final product that is between our watch and our warning. Think about it, cookie watches or cookie warnings.
Okay, y'all, now I'm hungry for cookies. But you stick right here with us because coming up, we're going to talk about another very costly part of the severe storm season. Hail. We'll be right back.
Welcome back to First Alert Severe Weather Survival Guide. We've all seen the damage hail can cause when it moves across North Texas, from homes and cars, even businesses and parks. One of the most memorable hailstorms in North Texas happened back in May of 1995. Fort Worth's popular Mayfest event was underway along the banks of the Trinity River, and as the storm approached, more than 10,000 people were there with almost nowhere to take shelter. More than 400 people were hurt in the storm as softball-sized hailstones fell from the sky. Amazingly, there were no deaths reported that night from the large hail. The storm remains one of the costliest hailstorms in history. So you heard me mention the softball-sized hail from that storm. So take a look at this scale here. That's a very large hailstone at 4 inches across in diameter. A grapefruit-sized stone is the only category that's larger at 4.5 inches in diameter. But let's walk through this graphic here with me. You can see that the scale starts very small at pea-sized hail at 1/4 inch in diameter, up to the marble, penny, then nickel size. Then we get to quarter-sized hail. Now, quarter-sized hail, that's when it is the severe levels for you. That 1 inch in diameter, that's when the hailstones can start causing damage to your car, your roof, and past that, the damage only intensifies with each size increase up to tennis ball size hail. You can see up to baseball size hail. Each size increase, the damage continues to go up. Jeff?
Thanks, Scott. As we're talking about hailstones, you might be wondering how fast that hail is coming. Honestly, that is a very difficult question to answer. The National Severe Storms Laboratory has done testing and says it all depends on the size of the hailstone, the friction between the hailstone and the surrounding air, the local wind conditions, both horizontal and vertical, and the degree of the melting of the hailstone. Like I said, complicated. Researchers at NSSL have estimated the following speeds for hailstones. Less than 1 inch in diameter, between 9 and 25 miles per hour do they fall. For those from 1 inch to 1.75 inches in diameter, those are expected to fall between 25 and 40 miles an hour. The larger hailstones, those between 2 and 4 inches in diameter, they're estimated to fall at a rate of 44 to 72 miles per hour. But remember, these are just estimates, and the researchers say it is possible for very large hailstones to fall at over 100 miles per hour. Now let's check back in with McKenna. McKenna, you have some information on how hailstones form.
That's exactly right, Jeff. We all know we can get some fairly large hail here in North Texas, but have you ever wondered how that hail forms? Let me explain. Raindrops are carried upward by thunderstorm updrafts. They're swept up into the cloud into extremely cold areas of the atmosphere. Then they start to freeze. Hailstones then grow by colliding with liquid water droplets, and then additional layers form on that hailstone. The hail falls when the thunderstorm's updraft can no longer support the weight of the hailstone, which can occur if the stone becomes large enough or the updraft weakens. Brittany?
Now that you know all about hail sizes and how it can form, what part of the country gets the most hail? Just like North Texas, it's in Tornado Alley. There's also a hail alley, and it's right where the 3 states of Nebraska, Colorado, and Wyoming all meet. Those 3 states typically get the highest number of hailstorms in a year. But Scott, you know, we get some pretty impressive hailstones.
That's
here.
right. Brittany, those hailstorms can often form hail swaths where the storm moves as hailstones are falling, and those can range anywhere from a few acres to hundreds of miles long. Thanks so much, Brittany, for that explainer. We appreciate it. Okay, coming up next, we're going to discuss one of the deadliest forms of severe weather, flash flooding. We'll be right back. Welcome back to First Alert, Severe Weather Survival Guide. Let's talk about flash flooding. It's one of the deadliest forms of severe weather, even more than tornadoes. Earlier in the show, we talked about that hailstorm that hit Fort Worth's Mayfest back in 1995. While no one died from the hail, a total of 12 people did die from that same storm due to flash flooding. One person died in western Tarrant County when he drove into a swollen creek. In Dallas County, several of the victims drove into high water and were then swept away by those floodwaters. 2 others fell into high water and drowned. Brittany, you know it really does not take much at all for floodwaters to take a hold of a car and just sweep it away.
That's right, Scott, and it can happen in an instant. Take a look at this explainer that we shot recently to show you exactly what we're talking about. Flash flooding is the #1 severe weather killer, even more than tornadoes. Just 6 inches of water can knock you off your feet. It can also cause you to lose control of your vehicle when you're driving. At 12 inches of water, that's when we're starting to see those passenger vehicles floating away, especially with the currents that you see in that flash flood water. It's so strong. This is why we really emphasize turn around, don't drown, because it's very hard to estimate the depth of water. And if you drive into that water, you're putting yourself in a very dangerous situation, potentially even life-threatening. So if you can, on the interstates and highways, try and drive in that center lane. They're a little bit higher up, and then you're going to stay out of the ponding that typically happens on the sides of the roadway. So what if your car does start to float away? The #1 tip, don't panic. There's also a tool that can help everyone that you should have in your car so that you can get out safely. Take a look. If you do find yourself swept up in a flash flood, having a device like this may save your life. It has an end with a seatbelt cutter on it. That way you can easily get out of your seatbelt in case it gets jammed for any reason. There's another end where you can use it to break the window. That way you can easily get out and swim away from your vehicle.
Really great information, Brittany. I have one of those tools in my car, something that every person needs to think about also as we head into severe weather season.
And that's just one of the great tools, but there's also another tool that you're going to want to have available as we head into storm season. When we issue a First Alert Weather Day for severe storms, you want to make sure that all of your devices are fully charged. Also make sure you have the CBS News app downloaded on all of those devices, because as the storms are rolling through the area, the power could go out. That way you'll be able to continue to see our coverage streaming through the apps, and you'll know when the storm is past. So don't forget to download the CBS News app. You're going to want to locate that Texas section and then bookmark it.
Yeah, we appreciate that. So it's such an easy way to stay updated as the storms move through. Now, coming up, CBS News Texas is committed to weather coverage and keeping you safe. We give you a sneak peek into what we have debuting coming up soon.
Welcome back. Here at CBS News Texas, we are dedicated to keeping you safe during severe weather. You can see back behind me, there is construction going on all around, and that's because we are investing and upgrading our weather experience to bring you something new very soon. Here's a preview of that from our sister station, CBS Bay Area.
Hey there, McKenna. We are so excited that you are soon going to have access to this groundbreaking technology. Come in with us and let me show you what we've done here. This giant green space is a blank canvas that we have used. There are no more hard sets. Of course, this is not just a big green wall. Take a look at what this does.
coolest microclimate today is in the valleys of the North Bay, where the fog is still hanging on. This environment lets us take our viewers inside the weather. Microclimates, the fog, the rain, we can explain in 3 dimensions and show you what's going to happen. The offshore wind on our real-time map showing that east to west movement. The way everyone else is doing weather on television is like riding on horseback. This is space travel.
Virtual weather on KPIX. You've just got to see it.
So, McKenna, as you can see, the new technology is really changing the way we forecast and the way we bring vital information to our viewers. And we know that you and the CBS News Texas team are going to be able to take your forecasting skills to the next level with this tool, and that the North Texas viewers are going to benefit from your station's investment for years to come. Thanks for stopping by to see us.
It really is really cool. I don't know about you, Jeff, but I am excited about this new technology that our viewers are going to be seeing very soon.
Yeah, Scott and Brittany, this is an exciting time to be here at CBS News Texas.
That system really does look awesome. It's high tech, and it is really going to be game changing for the way we present the forecast.
It really will. It's going to impact you, our North Texas viewers, for years to come. Thank you so much for joining us for First Alert Severe Weather Survival Guide. We'll see you next time.